Afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for August 9th, 2019. SPY down 0.65, Qs down 0.93. All right, coming into today, we had a bullish bias on a sell-off. So if the market gets sold, expect it to rally. All right, and for the most part, we've gotten that. And what's important is that we now have a pivot that we can use to determine if this bullish bias should be maintained. Okay, 185 is going to be where we're at on the Qs, and on the SPY here, we rallied off of 289.65. Okay, if we break that back to a neutral bias, and we'll see if we get follow through, and we'll have to switch back to bearish. All right, so far though, uptrend is maintained. We're putting in a higher low. We'll just have to see if this leads to a higher high. Okay, so that's what would be expected if this bullish bias is to be maintained. If it does not follow through, then we'll have to lose the bullish bias. Okay, so we were bullish ever since the end of the day on Wednesday, and then yesterday and today, and then now we have our new kind of line in the sand, our new pivot form right here, right? Coming into today, I said, not a good time to chase. Up here, wait for the sell-off, expect a bounce, and now that we got the bounce, we have a nice pivot to work with. Going into next week, we'll see if we get follow through. All right, so let's go ahead and review some of today's plays, and I think I have a very good topic for you today, kind of about our attitudes towards the market and shakeouts and how to deal with them. Okay, so we will kind of do them in order here. So the first play was the DXY. DXY, I was looking for a breakdown and continued follow through on this. I thought this was a very bearish gap here, and we got the breakdown, and the breakdown wasn't going to follow through there. So we got the break, volume came in, and I said kill it early for a small loss there on the DXY. All right, and then the next play was the QNST. Okay, QNST. Again, a pretty bearish gap here on the QNST, and looking for follow through to the downside. All right, so this one we actually got in here, big volume, big break. All right, and I jumped out. It didn't take out the stop, but I didn't like my fill, and I didn't like the way that I was trading. Now I jumped out right as it was breaking back above here. And here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want you to take away from this video, okay, is that when that bar that gets you out doesn't get any follow through, so it doesn't, after this bar doesn't go higher, it's probably a shakeout. Okay, if you read the chart correctly, if you're on the right side, I mean, look at the time frame alignment on this QNST. Bearish gap, right? Bearish weekly, breaking the neckline there. Monthly also breaking down. Okay, so time frame alignment across the board, bearish bias. Okay, so when that bar gets that gets you out, doesn't get any follow through, and immediately turns right back around, we have to get back in it. So we did have to replay this one on the QNST, right? Played it back to the lows, and then you can see it kind of went all the way down to 11.14 there, right? So this was always meant to go lower. I know it's kind of recovered here at the end, as some shorts have probably looked to cover their day trades there. Okay, to show you another example, this one we did not replay, right, and turned out to be a mistake. Okay, but the same concept follows here. Okay, we played this breakdown here. Okay, triggered us in right underneath 85. Okay, and then the stop was here, 12. Okay, broke 12, turned right back around. See that? No follow through after it got us out. That tells you we need to get back in. I think at the time was looking at something else and totally missed this re-entry. Okay, this is another clear example that the bar that got you out, if it doesn't get any follow through, it's probably need to get back in. Okay, so like we can compare this with the DXY, for example, because the DXY, right, here was the bar that got us in, and then this is the bar I said trail, because this kept going higher, right? So the bar took out the previous bar's high and kept going, that told you probably don't need to replay this. You don't need to jump back in, because it's not going to be every play that doesn't work isn't necessarily just because you got shaken out. Some of them are just meant to not work higher. This did set up again on this 5-minute sell, right? But it wasn't one that we needed to jump right back in like the QNST, like the MAT, right? So that, if it's going to be a shakeout, that's what it's going to look like. It's going to get you out and then come right back down, right? And the point I wanted to make about this is not that, that sometimes we can feel like, oh, they're hunting for our stops, or they're out to get me, or anything like that, right? And it's that kind of attitude that's going to keep you from being objective and potentially seeing this shakeout and thinking, well, how do I know if it's a shakeout or if this rally is for real, this rally against my position is for real or not, right? And so we just have to stay objective, look at what's happening. If there is no follow through to that bar, then look for a way to play it or get back in as soon as the bar that got you out, right, is shown to give no follow through. Okay, so I think that's really, really important, because I think these things, they're just going to happen. Sometimes you're going to get shaken out to the penny or a couple of pennies, right? In this case, I gave it to 12, gave it to 12.02, and that's exactly where it went to get me. Other times I'll put it at 12.03 and maybe I just got away with it and it didn't get me, and I give myself credit for that. Okay, but we want to be prepared for when these shakeouts happen. How can we, right, get back in it and not miss this move? I think it's very, very important. Okay, I think the other thing that I've seen kind of frustrate people, and we just finished this RBA. It wasn't much of a winner, right? But we played as it broke out here, took half here, and then took half here. Okay, and if you're with me on the mic as we were kind of getting to our first target, I think it's very tempting anytime that you're in a play and you got it to work that you think, well, maybe I can go to break even now. A lot of people do that, right? Because it feels good. It feels nice to kind of remove that risk. And then it comes back down, gets you out, break even, and then goes right back up, right? I think we've all been there, right? And so that can also lead us to be very frustrated, think the market's out to frustrate us and disappoint us, okay? And in this case, that kind of thing is not, really the market's fault, right? The market in this case is doing what it's supposed to do. The reason that we played it, right, as it broke 25, or this area, is because we expected it to go higher, and that it was breaking resistance, right? This resistance here in the way, right, broke the resistance. Okay, so once it breaks the resistance, this should be support. So if you're trailing at break even, you're actually trailing at support, right? Because we played it at 25, came back in. Where did it go to? 24. Okay, so you may feel like, oh, it came just to get my stop and get me out so it can go back up. But it's actually because you're doing something fundamentally that is setting yourself up for disappointment by putting your stop at break even, which is now supposed to be support. Okay, because once it broke the resistance, it's now support, and then it should rally from there, right? So the break-even trail, I think, also leads us to get easily frustrated, because we're setting ourselves up to be disappointed, even though the stock or the market is doing what it's supposed to do, which is test support and then bounce, right? Okay. So there's a couple things there that I just wanted to go over, because I think, of course, when things are all working and going as they should, that it all seems easy. But it's during times when you might be frustrated or, on the wrong end of a shakeout or something like that, that those kind of adjustments, preparations that you make for the next trading day are what keep us in the game, right? Like, anybody can have a nice play. Anybody can pick a winner from time to time. But it's when you run into some difficult trading or a rough patch, and what you do to fix it, that will give you a career, right? So just wanted to go over that with you, because I get frustrated too. I thought the MAT was really, really frustrating, that we got stopped out and I missed getting back in. And I think getting back in the QNST was the right thing to do, and I'm glad that we did. And you know, the RBA, I don't have any problem with. This was managed correctly. And if you were on the you were listening to me on the mic in the afternoon, it crossed my mind. Should we go to break even? And I said no. We'll leave it underneath support, and then when it bounces back up, we'll take the rest. Okay. How frustrating would that have been to get shaken out again on something like that, right? And that's because I knew it's not the right thing to do, right? Okay. So you know, hope you had a really good week. I think there's plenty more coming next week, so make sure you are ready to go. Market gave us some very valuable information today. We got this pivot here, and if this market is going to rally back up to the highs, this 185 needs to hold for now. Okay, if that breaks, I think we're maybe stuck sideways for a bit. If there's a lot of follow through to the downside when it breaks, then we'll have to look for another setup to switch to a bearish bias. Okay. All right. So hope you're looking forward to next week, and have a great weekend. I will talk to you on Monday.